How's it going, everyone? This is John. Welcome to the Last Seed podcast. We're going to be doing NBA trade deadline episode. My reactions to everything's been going on. It's been a pretty crazy couple of days in the NBA, that's for sure. Before I get underway, please hit that subscribe button. We're at 66 subscribers at the moment of this recording. We're trying to get to 100 subscribers by, by summer. Would be a huge milestone for the page. But without further ado, let's dive deep into it. So first off, I think this is basically the first trade that happened in the deadline. Was a couple of days ago where it was getting steam. It was on a Tuesday where we started getting rumblings that James Harden wanted out of the Clippers, and all of a sudden Cleveland came up as a possibility with a swap for Darius Garland, and that's exactly what happened. Clippers also get a second round pick. Um, my initial reaction is, it's like, I just don't get it with Harden. I really don't at this point. I mean, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse when I say this, but it just seems like it's just recycle and repeat, every couple years or so where the dude just wants out of where he is. Just doesn't take accountability for him falling short in the playoffs. He's a great player, great offensive player all time. You can't really take that away from him, but I don't know. It's just getting nauseating at this point. But that being said, from a Cavs perspective, I really don't get it from the standpoint of, like, yeah, I get that Garland did come up short in the playoffs, but so has Harden time and time again. I guess you can come with the point that Garland's injury from last year seems to be lingering into this year. Just been in and out of the lineup, hasn't been able to stay in the lineup consistently. Um, I can see from the Cavs perspective trading Garland. I just don't know if this was the move. Um, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the playoffs. I really don't really buy into Harden and Donovan Mitchell being great defensively in the backcourt. Same thing when Mitchell and Garland were in the backcourt. So it really doesn't solve that problem. I guess Harden's basically going to give you a better version of what Mitchell and Garland were, I guess, but you're also taking the ball out of Mitchell's hands more. Um, I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. It really doesn't really change how I view Cleveland in the Eastern Conference, to be completely honest with you. I felt like they could have used, like, if I'm trading Garland, I'm trying to get like a strong three or maybe a two to pair up with Mitchell and just have Mitchell be basically the point guard, which is what he already is, but trying to upgrade that two or three position, me personally. Um, but from the Clippers standpoint, I mean, the Cavs probably did this trade because I think they view Garland as damaged goods. But if you're the Clippers, you're getting rid of James Harden, who is in his late 30s as of now, and you're getting a young point guard. So, I mean, it's kind of a low risk move for them from that standpoint. If Garland can stay healthy, he can be their point guard of the future. He's still relatively young. So it's going to be interesting to see the moves the Clippers make coming up. I've heard Zubac and trade rumors. And again, we are only at 12:50 right now as of this recording. So if I get more trades and I see them on my phone and whatnot as we're live, I'll give you live reactions to them as well during this episode. But I've heard some stuff with them possibly wanting to trade Zubac. I haven't heard anything on it yet, but I feel this, if you're the Clippers and you're just saying, hey, we want to blow it up, I feel this would be the time to trade Kawhi, because has been playing great. He's been one of the best players in the league the past couple months. You know what I mean? You want to trade him while he's healthy, playing good, all of that stuff. So I don't know, if I'm the Clippers and I'm blowing it up, I think this is my best opportunity to get a great return for Kawhi Leonard. You can definitely get a good return for Zubac. Um, but yeah, that's just my view of it right now. The Clippers definitely have a lot of question marks making this move to see where they possibly go next. But let's go down to the next trade. So this one, I kind of flip flopped on it from my initial standpoint. So when Jaren Jackson to the Jazz, my initial standpoint was, what are the Jazz doing? Why are they making a win now move? And the more I thought about it, the more I feel it makes sense for the Jazz. And I'll tell you why. Now, if you get Walker Kessler back and you have Jaren Jackson down low with him, that's a pretty formidable front line. And you have Markkanen at the three. Keontae George has been a blossoming star this year at the point guard position. He's averaging 24 points a game. So I think Keontae George was the main reason why the Jazz felt they can pull this trigger, because they have to be thinking to themselves, like, why are we still trying to stockpile picks and stuff like that when we already have young talent in the building? So eventually you're going to have to make some win now moves. Um, a big X factor also for the Jazz is how Ace Bailey's development really goes. Uh, so let's say hypothetical. I think they're looking at like this: if they can get starting five of George, Bailey, Markkanen, Jackson, and hopefully for them Walker Kessler comes back, it's not a bad starting five, especially with room to grow. You know what I mean? If George keeps excelling, keeps progressing, you hope that Ace Bailey progresses into a good player, obviously. Collier has shown he can be a good bench player as well for them, possibly. Um, I don't know. I kind of don't hate this for the Jazz. I feel like they might have more moves up their sleeve. They also did get Conchar and Vince Williams in this trade, which I felt can be very good bench pieces for them. Um, so yeah, I mean, I don't view Utah as like, I'm not saying Utah next year is going to automatically be some, perennial contender, but it takes time. You know what I mean? If they allow that team to grow with, you know what I mean, those guys and whatever. Jaren Jackson, he's a great rim protector. He's been a defensive player of the year candidate. It came at a price, 3 firsts, but they still do have a lot of firsts at their disposal. So it's not that they got rid of everything that they had. For the Grizzlies, I felt like they almost had to make a move like this if a team was offering a good haul for Jaren Jackson. Um, because so obviously when they traded Bane, you could see they possibly could have went towards this direction. I thought that they were going to give maybe a little bit more of a chance of a retool, and maybe just that the Bane haul was just too good for them to give up, for them to turn away rather. But my thing is, what was I going with this? But my thing, the thing I was going to bring up is that with Ja's trade, with his trade value just like going down, and because I think that's what I think the Grizzlies' plan from the get go was to sell Bane, Morant, and Jackson. Now, no doubt about maybe Bane and Morant. Okay, so maybe they were going to sell those guys, even if they wanted to keep Jaren Jackson as a franchise cornerstone. I feel with Morant's trade value going down, they had no choice but to trade Jaren Jackson, because if you want to rebuild for picks, you need picks to work with. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I feel like they were kind of cornered in trading Jaren Jackson, because that's the plan that they have right now. And we'll see what happens with Morant now. I don't feel they're going to get a lot for him, especially given what Trae Young got. Trae Young basically got the Hawks nothing. And I feel Ja Morant's trade value is pretty equal to that, maybe a little bit more, fair or not, but that's just the way it is right now. Let's see. The next one we got the Mavs trading away Anthony Davis. So all in all, last year they traded almost a year after the trade for Anthony Davis. They trade him away. They basically traded Luka Doncic for 29 games with Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and I think it was 1 first-round pick. Definitely a huge blunder on the Mavericks standpoint. I don't think I really have to go over that and explain that situation. But I'm going to talk about from the Wizards' perspective on this a little bit. To me, my comparison to this is when the Pistons traded for Blake Griffin. I don't think Anthony Davis has a lot of time left. I think at best the Wizards maybe make the playoffs a couple times with Young and Davis, and then Davis is going to go down. Like, this is not a guy that's going to age well. You know what I mean? I felt the Mavs did the best they could given the situation. Let me see, they got 2 firsts for him, I think. I'm just scrolling down the trade details. Yeah, they got 2 firsts, 3 seconds. I felt like they did the best they could. You're definitely signaling that you're building around Flag, which is what they should do. And I know everyone wants to get in the conspiracy theory of the Mavericks getting that number 1 pick. I may agree with you to a certain standpoint, but with that being said, with everything that has happened, with them getting rid of Luka, with that trade disaster, that you still end up with Flag, and it could end up being that Flag might be the better player than Luka. Now I know that's a huge statement to make, but he's been looking great lately, and he's even kind of exceeded my expectations a little bit because I didn't know he would show this offensive repertoire so quickly in the NBA. He's running point forward. He's been looking incredible. He dropped like 40 something points on the Hornets. I knew he'd be a good player. No doubt about it. I thought at the very least he would be a second option in a championship team. But he's looking like this guy can be top 5, top 10 NBA player in the next few seasons. So you have that to build around. You're getting these picks. It could be worse in Dallas given everything that has happened. So take that for what it's worth if you're a Dallas fan. Um, let's see. Then the next big one that we got, it came in last night, was Kristaps Porzingis being traded to the Warriors for Jonathan Kuminga and Buddy Hield. And first thing, I love this trade for one reason. We can finally stop hearing about the Jonathan Kuminga saga or whatever the heck you want to call it. Okay, it was just really annoying that, you know what I mean. We had to keep hearing about that from. And no offense to Jonathan Kuminga, maybe he can develop into a really good player, but for a guy that's really done not a whole lot in the league. Okay, let's just be perfectly honest. Um, and from the Warriors' standpoint too, they should just let him go. I mean, this has been something that's been brewing for the past couple of years. He never really got along with Kerr. Kerr didn't really view him as a guy that he wanted to uh, tie in long term. He didn't really want to develop stuff like that. He just didn't see something in him, and that's fine. You know what I mean? Whether he's right or wrong in that assessment, that's fine. But I felt like they were just holding him hostage there for the longest. You know, I mean, they had teams wanting him and stuff like that, and they just refused to trade him for a while for whatever reason. You know, it's like if you're not playing him, then just trade him. You know what I mean? If he's really causing that much of a hassle for you. But the Hawks get Kuminga. Kuminga gets an opportunity there. We'll see how it pans out for him. DeAndre Hunter leaving. The whatchamacallit, not the yeah, he left the Hawks last year, rather. But you know that kind of opens up, I feel, a role for him. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Kuminga can do there. From Golden State's standpoint, they basically got rid of a player that they really didn't want to play for someone that I'm not sure is going to play because Porzingis has been out since January. They're just grasping at straws here. I think they're just hoping and praying that Porzingis can somehow stay healthy for 50% of games and can help him out. Porzingis, I feel, can fit great with Steph Curry. There's no question about that. He can fit great with Draymond Green too. He really doesn't because now Porzingis doesn't really have to worry about the grunge work and stuff like that as much. He can more so worry about his offense, shooting threes and doing what he has to do because I feel Draymond can be a very big help for him. That's all great, but can Porzingis actually play and stay healthy? You know, history says not to bet with that, and I know that the most being a Knicks fan. You know what I mean? I experienced it firsthand. I think, you know, obviously I'll give Porzingis his credit, even though he kind of did the Knicks shady, but Porzingis is still a very good player when he's healthy. But when he's healthy, which is not very often. So I guess we'll see how that turns out for the Warriors. It doesn't really, I don't think it's really going to factor in too much. I think, you know, with Butler being out for the season, I don't see the Warriors making much noise in the Western Conference, or then maybe a playoff appearance, and I think they get bounced in the first round. Let's talk about what the Bulls did. So the Bulls have been a really, really active team on the trade, in the trade deadline. So Coby White going to the Hornets. This is really fun for the Hornets, in my opinion. You know, you do get rid of Colin Sexton, but I think White brings you something. I think he brings you a better version of what Sexton was doing. I think different players, yeah, but I think Coby White's a much better shooter, more of a talented offensive player. Hornets' offensive firepower is looking pretty fun. You got LaMelo, Knuppel, you got Coby White, you know, Bridges. You know, that's a fun team. You know, fun league pass team, as many people have been saying. So I do like it from the Hornets standpoint. From a Bulls perspective, so they've made a lot of moves. I love them buying low on Jaden Ivey here. Now, when Jaden Ivey first came into the league, I was someone that really liked him. And maybe it's just me being stubborn, but I'm going to stand by it. I think Jaden Ivey can still be an all-star type player in this league. Now, is it going to happen in Chicago? I don't know, but I think it's a slightly better fit. Giddey's more of a pass-first player, so we'll see if they can pair up long-term in the backcourt. I think it's going to be very fun to watch for the Bulls. People have been bringing up that they feel Simons or who else did they get? Sexton's going to be like the replacement for Kobe White. I don't believe so. Those guys are on expiring deals. I don't think the Bulls really have a lot of long-term, vested in them or anything like that. Maybe I can see them keeping one as a bench piece, but yeah, I really like them getting Jaden Ivey here. They basically gave up Kevin Huerter for him, which I don't think Kevin Huerter was in the Bulls' future plans. If Jaden Ivey works out for him, that would be amazing. You're buying low on him, and if not, then it is what it is. It's not like you really gave up the farm for him. So I think it could be a thing to whereas like I don't want to say they bought low on Josh Giddey because Caruso obviously made a big difference for that OKC team last year, and I think he's a great role player. But for that type of team, I don't feel Caruso would be as useful for a team like the Bulls, if that makes sense. Caruso's the type of player that has to be on a winning team to have his impact be shown. So, because it's not like if the Bulls still had Caruso, they'd be winning a lot more games. And it's not like, you don't want that type of guy in your future plans. So, them getting, Giddey at that price, I thought was pretty good. And hopefully for them, maybe Ivy can be a similar scenario for them. They also trade Nikola Vucevic to the Celtics. Celtics badly needed some low post scoring. They traded him straight up for Anthony Simons. I think Vucevic, even though he's different than Porzingis, I think they kind of missed that center that can stretch the floor. They obviously Horford's gone as well, so I think Vucevic can help fill that void. Does he help him defensively? Not really. I feel like Celtics are still kind of missing that rim protector. But again, they still have a lot of great defensive players. Quaid's been great. He's been decent in that role at times this year. But I feel Vucevic can help him out. And last but not least, I want to talk about the Knicks. My Knicks they just got Jose Alvarado in a 3-team deal. So basically, Knicks just basically sent out Yabusele, who was a huge disappointment. I mean, I'm glad that he's gone. Maybe he does better somewhere else. Who knows? But huge disappointment in the offseason for the Knicks. He basically did nothing the whole season. It just from the get-go, I could tell, even watching the first game, I'm like, this guy just looks lost out there. But you're able to trade him. We did give up rid of 2 seconds for Alvarado. I see that also. I haven't gotten news that McBride did get a sports hernia surgery. So Alvarado is definitely someone that's going to be a very, very high need for the Knicks now. He's going to fill that role. And I said the same thing when the Knicks got Josh Hart. I feel Alvarado is just meant to be a Knick. Just his play style and everything like that, the way he hustles for loose balls. It's going to be fun to watch to see the crowd really get behind him. He's from New York as well. He's just meant to be a Knick. I said the same thing I said the same thing when we got Josh Hart. I feel Alvarado is going to have that similar type impact. He's not going to be the guy that I don't feel like he's going to score like a ton of points. Obviously, he's never had in his career. He's never been that type of player. But if he can have like the impact that Caruso had on OKC last year, or something like maybe not to that extent, but something even like close to that, I feel this is a huge win for the Knicks. Getting rid of a player that wasn't in the rotation anymore, was just a huge bust, and you only had to get rid of 2 seconds for him. I feel this is a huge win for the Knicks overall. But that's just going to end my trade deadline rundown. I didn't see anything huge as the episode was going. We still have 2 hours left until the trade deadline as of now. I'm going to be posting a lot more basketball stuff on the page. I'm going to see if I can get some guests on and see how it goes. I think I would love to get some more basketball debate on the page. If you would like to see all that come to fruition, please hit that subscribe button. Like I said in the beginning of the episode, it really helps out the channel. And I see I do the analytics thing on YouTube, YouTube Studio, whatever, and I see most of the people that watch don't subscribe to the channel. So please, if you've been watching the channel, appreciate you, but also subscribe to the channel and also like this video as well. But until next time, this was the Last Seed Podcast. Hope everyone has a great night. Peace out.